As we approach Election Day, I'm happy to say we are bringing back our series, 3 Meals, our way of taking to the road to have a meal, 3 of them in fact, and talk to voters about what they actually care about. Our first state is, it's for lovers, Virginia. It's got some red parts, some blue parts, and great food in all parts of Virginia. Its electoral votes are interesting. They've gone to the Democrat in the last 4 presidential elections, but a Republican, Glenn Youngkin, became the governor in 2022, and he's hoping the GOP can win the state for former President Donald Trump this time around. Scott McFarland takes us on the road to get a taste of what's on voters' minds and their plates.
No state is home to more historic battlegrounds than Battleground Virginia. Like Culpeper, older than the country itself, whose charming town square is where you'll find the Frost Cafe, filled with regulars like Ed Jones.
I enjoy it here. I enjoy the people.
There's no debate about the coffee here in this conservative stronghold that Donald Trump carried twice.
Cheers.
And this fall, Jones thinks former President Trump is the man to get the job done.
We need someone in our presidency who can make this America work for the working man. It's really looking critical right now, where I don't even know if my grandchildren are going to have a future with this country.
Some of these big breakfasts of omelets and pancakes can cost less than $10. And that's what brings in Devada Allison, who's worried about inflation.
Groceries that used to cost me $200 a couple years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I'm spending $500 at the grocery store right now. That's going to be my biggest deciding factor is give me your answers. What are your solutions? I don't want promises and broken promises.
But he says he'll have something even bigger on his mind when he goes to vote.
I think we need to stop looking at what side of the fence you're on, whoever you're supporting, and realize, as a people, that we're all still American at the end of the day.
When you look at the election, what are the things that worry you, keep you up at night?
I worry that we're getting very divided, and I'm worried that there's a lot of hate going around.
Sarah Campbell's a librarian. Her husband, Brian, a high school teacher with school-age kids.
It really bothers me when people act like bullies. And our school works very hard to try to get everyone to be respectful of all people.
It's a process.
And I need to see people who model that behavior for our students. Our teachers do.
Now we are very caffeinated and headed to our next stop. Lunch is in Lowden County, Virginia. It's about 90 minutes away. All along the way, we go through some of the battleground parts of the Commonwealth, areas where elections can be won or lost.
Lowden County is the wealthiest county in the country, fueled by a booming wine industry, huge wheat growing land, and a high-tech hub. At the Leesburg Diner, retiree Jim Huhulis says the Reuben is his go-to.
I can't go wrong with a Reuben.
But that's where some of his decisiveness ends. He's still not sure whom to vote for this fall.
Everything has risen. Cost of living, and that includes the homes. If you're going out for dinner, whoever can bring policy changes to that in order to make that a little easier, I think is going to be of biggest interest for me.
At a nearby table, we found these high school friends home from college who are voting for the first time.
Who's excited to vote this year? All 5 of you.
Still teens, they're already concerned about the cost of housing.
Owning a home is really important for building up wealth in America. It's something you can leave to your grandchildren and as like a legacy.
You can't afford to live where your parents live.
Well, yeah, things have changed so much in terms of just the cost of housing.
This group split the diner's Ice Cream Sundae special, but like a lot of Virginians we spoke with, they say politics don't have to be so divided.
A lot of the polarization can sometimes, be toned down a little bit just for the sake of truly bettering the country sometimes.
Sounds like y'all are just starving for it to cool off.
Exactly.
As we drive south to Richmond, Virginia, we're headed to the state capitol, a city filled with state government workers and major universities, college students. For Democrats, this has been a must-win part of the Commonwealth. We headed to Mama J's Kitchen, a soul food institution in Virginia's capital city.
The cornbread doesn't need anything.
It really doesn't.
Where fried catfish, whipped sweet potatoes, and cornbread dominate diners' plates. We found Ricky Gaines waiting for his takeout order.
What do you look for when you're looking for a leader or somebody to vote for?
Someone that's fair, someone that's consistent.
This Army veteran says he's now worried about safety here at home.
I think crime, that kind of keeps me up at night. The drugs, the crime, we've got to police that up.
Pancake sandwich?
Jonae Battle, a 23-year-old server here, says she's excited to vote for Kamala Harris, a candidate who she says looks like her, and says a very personal issue is leading her to cast a ballot for the first time.
Reproductive rights.
That's a top issue.
That's a top issue for me. I feel like some women are put in a predicament where they can't financially keep a certain baby, or, so they just need to have the freedom to do whatever they want to do with their body.
Virginia is the only state in the South that has not enacted more restrictive abortion policies or a waiting period following the Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade.
You feel like that's something that's driving other young people too?
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely a big concern, and it always has been, but it's never been like, oh, your rights are about to get taken away from you. I feel like that's taking us back and not forward.
Virginia has a history of being politically unpredictable. In 2008 and 2020, they voted overwhelmingly for Democratic presidents, then turned around and elected Republican governors. And in this state where the slogan is Virginia is for lovers, they would like to see more civility in the politics. And Nate, early voting is almost here. It begins Friday, September 20th in Virginia.
Scott, well done. I love this series because it just shows voters want a country that reflects and protects how they were raised.
Yes.
Almost as comforting to them as their favorite meal, which is why I love the 3 Meal series. And I can't wait for us to do ours. We were just talking about that during the commercial break. Pumped.